Welcome to One Little Park, a place dedicated to all things theme parks. If you like this video, please subscribe. I put out videos every Friday. On this week's Attraction Rewind episode, I'm taking a look at Ghostbusters in Universal Studios, Florida. The plan for Universal Studios, Florida from the very beginning was to be a working studio and a theme park. The park would not only have Universal properties, but would include many licensed properties as well. This way, the park could have a diverse catalog to choose from when creating a place where guests could ride the movies. Ghostbusters, a Columbia Pictures property, was part of this licensing deal, which resulted in 3 unique experiences at the park. First, let's look at Ghostbusters Spooktacular. This was a stage show that opened with Universal Studios Florida on June 7th, 1990. Guests queued up outside the show building under the premise that this was the soundstage where the 2 films were shot. Once guests are seated, the lights go down and the stage, which is behind glass, is illuminated, revealing the Temple of Gozer. A tour guide comes on stage to talk about the franchise, and soon ghosts begin appearing. Gozer eventually appears and begins torturing the tour guide when the Ghostbusters theme song kicks in and the Ghostbusters come on stage to save the day. The finale of the show involves a 20-foot wide robotic head of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man appearing. As soon as the Ghostbusters shoot him, tons of liquid nitrogen fill the stage and the head turns red hot and melts. In 1993, the show was reworked, this time including a proper pre-show. Outside, a sign was added for the pre-show that advertised a seminar hosted by Louis Tully today. The pre-show involves Louis Tully trying to rally investments from guests to support future Ghostbusters tech. After some demonstrations from volunteers, Louis directs the guests to the main showroom. Once seated, Louis appears again to show off Ghostbusting starter kits that guests could buy. His presentation is interrupted by EPA agent Walter Peck, who attempts to shut down the Ghostbusters for fraud and violations of the EPA. Walter and Louis go back and forth, and eventually we see the Temple of Gozer appear like in the previous incarnation, and events play out pretty much the same from this point on. Both versions of the show exited into the paranormal store, which sold various Ghostbusters merchandise. The attraction would close in late 1996 to make way for a brand new experience based on the hit film Twister. Twister Ride It Out is another story for another episode, but there was a window in the queue with an ad for Paranormal Travel Agency, an homage to the previous attraction. Meanwhile, from 1991 to 1993, a seasonal show ran that also featured the Ghostbusters. StreetBusters was right down the street in the New York section of the park and took place on a small stage that was part of the New York Public Library facade. This show featured the Ghostbusters driving up in the Ecto-1 and putting on a show in search for one of their greatest foes, Beetlejuice. There was some dancing involved as this evil ghost uses powers on the Ghostbusters, but in the end, they caught him and put an end to the mayhem. We saw the end of StreetBusters in 1993, the same year that Ghostbusters Spooktacular was reworked. And then, from 2002 to 2005, the show came back in a very different form. Extreme Ghostbusters, The Great Fright Way, did not feature the real Ghostbusters, but the Extreme Ghostbusters. It is said during the show that Extreme Ghostbusters are a franchise of the main ghostbusting business that has recently been created to help protect the area. This helps explain why they are not wearing normal uniforms and don't have the normal ghostbusting equipment. The show starts with an audio recording of a librarian making a call. Screams and chaos can be heard in the background, and the call soon cuts out. Music kicks in, and Beetlejuice makes his way onto stage singing new lyrics to the song New York, New York. After engaging some audience participation, sirens begin to blare as the Ecto-1 drive up with the Extreme Ghostbusters running alongside it. At this point, the Extreme Ghostbusters try capturing Beetlejuice.
It's showtime.
Oh no. What have I done?
The TVs!
Sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave. I'm too sexy for my car, too sexy for my car, too sexy by far.
Man, I feel like a woman.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
can do about him?
Brothers?
Cowboy.
Try agent. Wow! Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's time we get you guys on the road. What do you say? Grab your purses, boys. We're hitting the road. Come on.
Okay, he's gone. I won't make that mistake again. This show is actually one I really liked. It was silly, it crossed over two great properties. Hey, Sony and Warner Brothers, if you're watching this, please make that happen. And it had dancing to popular songs. It was just a fun little show. But the removal of the Ghostbusters presence at Universal Studios Florida happened for two reasons. One, Universal was not able to renew the licensing for the Ghostbusters property, now owned by Sony after its purchase of Columbia Pictures. Two, Universal has a knack for removing beloved attractions and replacing them with what they thought would be the next big thing. Ghostbusters is a fun property and a staple film franchise from the 1980s. Though the reboot was not as successful as hoped, there are plans for a Ghostbusters 3 that is a direct sequel to the 1980s films. If all goes the right way, we may see some more ghostbusting happening at Universal Studios Florida. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because it will only help me in growing this channel and reaching more people. Until next time, see ya.